What's up, YouTube? I apologize if there's any problem with the audio or video quality because I am rendering a video while doing this, and it is a hefty video, so um, usually that uses up 100% CPU. Anyhow, today I want to talk about something very special, and it involves the Toriko and Naruto universe and possibly other universes, maybe One Piece, not really, and maybe Bleach, not really, or any other manga you could think of. So, just a spoiler alert warning. Mostly it's going to be on Toriko and Naruto. Uh, I would I would say 99%. So, just a spoiler alert for that. I'm assuming you guys have read up to the latest chapter in the manga for both Toriko and Naruto. If not, don't worry. You can still watch this. The spoiler, it's not really a huge spoiler. You won't get anything really big spoiled, but maybe. So first and final warning. Um, I just want to make this very quick. I have noticed in these manga series and possibly others this sort of disconnect that's sort of happened because of a possible misunderstanding from the authors of how life works. This may or may not be true. Basically, people get weaker in power level every new generation. You see this in Naruto because you see Rikodu Senin, or the Sage of the Six Paths is his other name. He, a lot of people regard him as like the strongest being, and we see that in the latest chapter with Obito, resembling exactly how the Sage of the Six Paths is like in terms of clothing and his staff. And Obito's apparently the strongest person we've seen in the Naruto universe so far, and that is arguable because we haven't seen Madara's full strength, but we do know Hashirama beat him many times before. So I'm assuming the tier list is pretty much like Sage of Six Paths, Obito, and then Hashirama. And I'm only saying Obito's up there because he is the current Jinchuriki. Otherwise, he's not that strong if he wasn't the Jinchuriki of the Ten Tails. But he is, and therefore he's up there. And so that's the rough tier. We're not going to talk too much about it, so that's just a rough estimate. It could be wrong or right. The point is that Sage of Six Paths is up there with the strongest. And what I see in Naruto is that every generation, people seem to get weaker. I mean, the current generation with Naruto and all his friends, Sasuke and everyone else, they're strong and stuff, but I mean, you could say that the generation before them was stronger in many ways, and then the strongest generation were those of the old past, Hashirama and Madara, and you see that very often. I mean, the Madara took out the five Kages 1 vs 5 easily, and they were all mortally wounded to the point that they would have been dead if Madara pleased. But he left them like there. Like Tsunade had her body cut in half, and the point is that they're freaking strong as heck, and they're the older generation. And then as you go further back, sure, you get people that are weaker. I mean, it's not like every generation it gets stronger. I mean, Madara was the strongest of the Uchiha, but his ancestors were definitely not as strong as him. But I'm saying in general, I mean, the Sage of Six Paths apparently was like super strong. He created everything, all ninjutsu and stuff, and the Ten Tails Beast. And that's just a general thing. I'm gonna skip over to Toriko now. Spoiler alert. Same idea. Katsuya, strongest guy. He's known as the god of the gourmet hunters, I believe, something like that. And yeah, then he passes his stuff on to the three disciples and dies. The three disciples are currently known, and it's been confirmed in the latest chapter that they are the strongest people in the Toriko universe that are living as of now. that are human. I mean, there might be gourmet monsters that are stronger, but then from there on down, we have the other people. Joa, who has apparently turned out to be a fake Froze-sama, real or fake, who happens to be Akatsuya's combo partner, is also the only person stronger than the three disciples. And these are all old people. We got Akatsuya at the top being the oldest, dead. Then the three disciples, very, very old people. Setsuno being the combo partner of Jiro, who is one of the disciples. Setsuno's, we know, is like 300 years old or something like that. So Jiro is probably just as old. And then we got, like, as every new generation, weaker and weaker. I mean, Toriko, and like right now Zebra, he's being bound up by Teppei, who's like the great grandson of, no, he's just a grandson of Jiro. But these are all very weak people in the current youthful generation. Now, this may or may not be flawed in the fact that, and I'm hoping it is flawed with this idea that maybe the reason why they're weaker is because they have yet to age to the age of these people who are regarded as the strongest. So we can't really compare them equally until Toriko gets to the age of Jiro or Akatsuya or whoever else, Ichirayu. And so we can't really compare them because Toriko, maybe he's like 20 years old right now. He still has 280 more years to age and develop before we can compare him to the three disciples at their current state. But as of now, I mean, it looks like with the current power scheme, same with Naruto, it's like the strongest people are those in the past. And I guess that's just the way it has to work for anime. Like, you can't start off with the main character at the very first chapter being the strongest, and every villain to come after, no matter how old they are, to be weaker. It just doesn't work that way. It's just, with me being, with my roots in studying biology, I know that with evolution and natural selection, the later generations tend to be, okay, that's not actually true. I kind of rescind that, because it's not saying that the current generation, as far as natural selection and evolution is concerned, is actually much stronger and better than the older generations. It's just that they are more suited to adapt to the current environment. So maybe the current species alive now, the current generation, as you can say, might be the best suited to adapt to the current environment, but they may not be suited to adapt to past environments. That doesn't mean they're stronger and better. It could, in a lot of ways it could, because they have better immunities to a lot more diseases, but at the same time, that doesn't necessarily mean they are stronger than the past. So I kind of rescind that point, but it's still a strange dynamic, because it's still kind of weird how, like, it seems like with the hierarchy, I mean, as the generations go down, especially in Naruto, like, they should get stronger. They should develop better ninjutsus than the old generation, because they have all the knowledge of the old generation. I mean, if another thing is, if you compare it to modern technology and humans, we have all this knowledge of past history and past technology. So therefore, we shouldn't be like taking steps back in terms of technology. We should be taking what we've learned and progressing and learning new stuff. And that's what happens in the real world. We develop new stuff like computers. And so it's kind of weird that in the Naruto universe, we have the Sage of Six Paths who has invented all of these ninjutsu and stuff, and yet here we are with people of the current generation shown to be clearly much weaker than the power level of the Sage of the Six Paths, or Obito, who has taken the form of the Sage of the Six Paths. And yeah, we can go from there. I mean, Madara, Hashirama, much stronger than the current generation, or the five Kages combined, and yet they're of a much historic past generation. And it doesn't make sense, because with all this ninjutsu and treasures and all this stuff in the history, they should take that and learn and progress and become stronger and more intellectual and create stronger, more powerful powerful ninjutsus, but that just doesn't seem to be the case. And I guess the only counter arguments I can think of is one, um, maybe ninjutsus were lost. I mean, we see a lot of forbidden techniques and scrolls hidden or um, maybe protected or sealed away because they're just too dangerous to be used, and that's why there hasn't been too much progression because maybe they were sealed away and they couldn't be used to progress further for possibly many reasons. Maybe the techniques were morally wrong. And then the other counter argument is that maybe with Hashirama establishing this new village and this new order, his philosophy was not to progress in fighting and warfare and ninjutsu techniques. It was just to establish peace in the village, and therefore with peace and stuff, you didn't really need to progress in terms of fighting capabilities, and that is kind of why the techniques kind of sort of funneled down, and uh, the power levels of the current generations sort of dwindled as each new generation came about because of this funneling effect where the goal of the village was peace rather than warfare. And then the third possible counter argument is, again, this is Naruto universe, and it doesn't really relate to the Toriko universe, but at the same time, yeah, it doesn't really relate. But as far as the Toriko universe is concerned, my only counter argument is to say, hey, Toriko is very young. We can't really compare them to the older generations yet, or those that have died in the far past, because Toriko is still very young. He's 20 years old. Until he ages another 300 years, we can't compare him to the 300-year-old people who have such ridiculous power levels now. I know he's the main character. I know he's the current generation, but that's in that can't be compared until he ages, and I don't know. And so that's all I can think of, and I guess you could say that there has been a lot of very complex new quote-unquote better, and I'm saying that with quotes, better ninjutsus created. I mean, in the latest chapter of Naruto, as of the last week of July 2013, the latest chapter of Naruto, we see this ridiculous, again spoiler alert, ridiculous combined ninjutsu thing with like 4 members. Naruto's dad, what's his dad's name? I forgot. But Naruto's dad, Sasuke, and the second Hokage, and they do this combined technique that we've taken. It's a unique technique that probably will never be duplicated again in the history of the Naruto universe, because it requires all these specific things, bloodlines, years of training, specific things like for Naruto to be the Jinchuriki and to have mastered the Sage technique and all his Rasengan techniques, and all of that to be mastered in order for this combined technique to be used. And so again, that is a counter argument to say that ninjutsu techniques have been advancing as new generations have come about. But basically, it's that swap technique. It's the Flying Thunder God body swap technique combined with the Rasengan Shuriken with Sasuke's new and improved Chidori whip thing turned into a combined Rasengan with Naruto. You've seen it in a chapter. Basically, Naruto and Sasuke combine Chidori and Rasengan into this huge thing. Then Naruto's dad does a body swap with his Flying Thunder God technique along with the second Hokage using a seal onto Obito in order to land that bomb onto Obito. And you can see Obito just like brushes it off. It doesn't hurt at all. And we've seen just Rasengan alone, Naruto's Rasengan alone can blow like, it's pretty much like an atomic bomb. Not really that strong, but close to a huge bomb, sort of mini atomic bomb scale size. Combined with Chidori, Sasuke's Chidori, I mean, tremendous power, and Obito just brushes it off. But the point is, things have been progressing. They have been improving in ninjutsu. However, why does this still not compare to the power level of olden techniques such as Madara's power level or Hashirama's power level, or even further back, Sage's Six Paths? Why? I'm not sure. Maybe it's just straight raw strength beats out on complex ninjutsus learned through the progression of new technology. And so that ends my whole spiel. The point of the spiel is I don't really get it. The new generation seems to be progressing and progressively getting weaker, and I don't really get it. But regardless, both are good series, and I really like them as a series. So as always, like, rate, comment, and subscribe. Uh, as always, subscribing is free. Hit the button below. Even if you don't have a YouTube account, I think you can still do it, and you can stay tuned for future videos from me. And feel free to leave your comments with your insight, your feedback, your speculation, anything, advice, or anything like that. As long as it is not hateful or vicious, you will have a very good chance of me responding with my insight, because I do read all the comments, or 99% of the comments. See you guys later. Thanks, and I hope you will stay tuned for my videos. And as always, this is a manga and anime video channel, but again, it is my channel, so I am willing to post other stuff like vlogs and other stuff. So don't be surprised or outraged if that happens. And I've spoken about this many times before, but I don't want to be constricted by my subscribers. So if you don't like something, I'm sorry. That's how I'm going to do it. You can unsubscribe, but don't be surprised if I post something that is not manga/anime related on my channel. That's just how I want to do it. And as always, thank you guys for subscribing, and I'll see you guys later.